It is 6:30 a.m. in Midtown Manhattan, November 1930. You are standing on a wooden plank suspended 600 feet above the pavement, and the wind is doing its best to peel you off the steel. The air is thin, biting, and smells of coal smoke, wet concrete, and the metallic tang of raw iron. Below you, the city is just beginning to wake up, a grid of yellow taxis and tiny, scurrying figures that look like ants from this altitude. But you aren't looking down. You're looking at the beam in front of you, a massive, cold, unforgiving piece of structural steel that is about to become the skeleton of the world's tallest building. You are a member of a rivet gang and your day is about to begin. To understand how this city was built, you have to stop thinking about construction as a series of individual tasks and start seeing it as a singular rhythmic machine. You are part of a four-man unit, a rivet gang, and your survival depends entirely on the three men standing with you on this narrow, swaying perch. There is the heater, the catcher, the bucker-up, and the gunman. Each of you has a specific, non-negotiable role. If one of you fails, the entire process grinds to a halt, or worse, someone gets hurt. You are the atoms of this construction site, and the skyscraper is the molecule you are building, one white-hot rivet at a time. Your morning starts with the heater. He is the man who keeps the fire burning. Tucked away on a small, precarious platform, he manages a portable forge, a small coal-fired furnace that glows with an intense, angry orange light. His job is to take raw cylindrical steel rivets, each about the size of your thumb, and shove them into the heart of that fire. He has to get them to exactly the right temperature, roughly 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. At that heat, the steel turns a brilliant cherry red, almost white. It is soft, malleable, and ready to be shaped. If he doesn't get it hot enough, the rivet won't deform properly when it's hammered. If he gets it too hot, it will burn, lose its structural integrity, and become brittle. He is the master of the flame, and he is the one who sets the tempo for the entire gang. When the rivet is ready, the heater uses a pair of long-handled tongs to pull it from the forge. He doesn't just hand it to you, he tosses it. This is the moment that defines the job. He shouts a warning, and you, the catcher, have to track that glowing 2,000-degree projectile as it arcs through the air, sometimes over a gap of 20 or 30 feet. You are holding a metal bucket, a simple, battered thing that looks like a coal scuttle. You have to catch that rivet dead center every single time. There is no room for error. If you miss, that red-hot piece of metal falls like a meteor toward the street below, or worse, it lands on someone else's platform. You catch it. The metal clangs against the bottom of your bucket, and you immediately use your own tongs to grab it. You don't have time to think about the heat radiating through your gloves. You have to move. You pivot and slam that rivet into the hole where two steel beams overlap. This is where the bucker-up comes in. He is positioned on the other side of the beam, often in a spot where he can barely see what is happening. He holds a heavy iron bar called a dolly against the head of the rivet. His job is to provide the resistance. When the gunman starts hammering from your side, the bucker-up has to hold that bar steady, absorbing the massive, bone-jarring vibrations of the pneumatic hammer. If he slips, if he loses his grip for even a fraction of a second, the rivet will push out, the connection will be weak, and the entire structural integrity of the joint is compromised. He is the anchor, the silent partner who takes the brunt of the force so that the connection can be made. Then there is the gunman. He is the one who wields the pneumatic hammer, a heavy, vibrating beast of a tool that runs on compressed air at 90 to 120 pounds per square inch. When you have the rivet in place and the bucker-up is braced, the gunman steps in. He presses the nose of the hammer against the tail of the rivet and pulls the trigger. The machine erupts in a deafening rhythmic roar. It hits the rivet with hundreds of pounds of force, smashing the soft, glowing metal into a flat, mushroom-shaped head. The noise is so intense it vibrates in your teeth, a constant, mechanical jackhammering that drowns out everything else. In the span of a few seconds, the rivet is driven home. The metal expands to fill the hole completely, and as it cools, it shrinks, pulling the two steel beams together with incredible, permanent force. This mechanical symphony of air and iron is the heartbeat of the site, a relentless driving pulse that keeps the work moving forward, rivet by rivet, beam by beam, until the structure is complete. Because the work is so fast, so loud, and so demanding, you have to be able to move instantly. This is why the harness is the enemy. It seems like common sense to want to be tied off, but in 1930, a harness is a death trap. If you are tied to the beam and you fall, the rope might save you from the street, but it will also leave you dangling in the wind, unable to climb back up, or worse, it will snap your spine when the line goes taut. You rely on your balance, your grip, and your absolute, unwavering trust in the men around you. You don't want to be tethered to the steel. You want to be able to move with it. You want to be able to jump if the beam shifts or step aside if something goes wrong. The harness is a false sense of security that limits your mobility, and on this job, mobility is your only real protection. Now, here's what I want you to sit with. We look back at these men, these guys walking on beams with no safety gear, and we call them reckless. We think they were just daredevils showing off for the cameras. But that is a fundamental misunderstanding of the work. This wasn't bravado. It was a highly specialized rhythmic and necessary engineering dance. Every movement, every toss, every strike of the hammer was calculated to ensure the building would stand for 100 years. The recklessness was actually a form of extreme professional focus. You weren't ignoring the danger, you were managing it through precision. You were part of a system where the margin for error was zero, and the only way to survive was to be perfect every single time. When you look at the Empire State Building today, you aren't just looking at a skyscraper, you're looking at the physical manifestation of that coordination. You are looking at millions of these rivets, each one placed by a gang just like yours, each one a testament to the fact that four men working in perfect, rhythmic harmony could build something that defied gravity. The danger was real, the work was back-breaking, and the conditions were brutal, but there was a profound, quiet pride in knowing that you were part of the machine that was literally reaching for the clouds. As the sun begins to set, the city below starts to glow with a million tiny lights. You are still up here, your muscles aching, your ears ringing from the hammer, your clothes covered in soot and iron dust. You look out over the horizon, and for a moment you feel like you own the world. You have spent the day turning raw, chaotic energy into something permanent, something that will outlast you, your children, and their children. You have built a monument to human coordination, a steel skeleton that stands against the wind. It is a strange, lonely, and exhilarating feeling, knowing that the very ground you stand on is held together by your own hands and the trust you placed in your brothers. Does the work you do today require that same level of absolute life or death trust in the people standing next to you? When you look at the buildings around you, do you see the steel, or do you see the thousands of tiny, rhythmic, dangerous decisions that went into holding them together? Think about that the next time you walk through the city, and you might see the skyline a little differently. It is a world built on the sweat and the precision of men who understood that the only way to reach the sky was to hold on to each other. If you found this look into the past as fascinating as I do, I invite you to join the conversation in the comments below.